All right, so we're going to make a new app. We're going to call this the log in video. And so say next. Next, we have an empty activity, make it a main activity. And our activity is going to load up. Now, while it does this, I'm going to come over to my slideshow that I have prepared for you guys. And we're going to just take a quick preview of some of the code that we're going to be learning about. Ugh, looks like my Android Studio opened up in the wrong window, so I'm just going to move this over here. All right, and so the code we're going to be learning about today, we're going to have two activities, a main activity and a login activity. We're going to see that within the both the main activity and login activity, we have a Firebase auth object for like authorizer, I like to think of it as. And in the main activity, we're going to have an auth state listener, which is basically going to be listening as to whether someone is logged in or not. And then we're going to have in the login activity to edit text for the email and the password. All right, so let's get this started. And so we come to project, bap, 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 and voila. No, voila. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we have to build, let's just continue to go through the preview. We have a main activity. We have to check if the person's logged in the main activity. And we're going to be using this code here. Again, we have the auth, the authorizer, which we need in both activities. And then we have the auth state listener, which is specifically in the main activity, which again checks to see if the if a user is logged in. And so in onCreate, we're going to be using this this yes da, 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 anonymous class, yeah, where we have an on auth state changed method that is going to be checking to see if someone is logged in. And actually, this code is going to be a little bit different when we get to it later, but that's what this code does. It checks to see if the person is logged in, and if they are logged in, it's going to get the current user and then make a database based on that current user. All right. Over here, we have the login code, which is just the code for the login method. And then we have the signup code, which is just the code for the signup method. All right, so let's get started. So we're going to first create a main activity with this here. So you can just copy and paste this into your main activity. Yep, wrong main activity. Over here, we have our text. I'm just going to say Command A, Command V. There we go. I'm going to delete this last part because this is not the context that it's going to be in. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll just take this. I'm gonna blah blah blah. All right, let's exit out. Bring that down here. Get ready to like that. We'll copy this. We'll paste that, and then we'll take this, that, and replace this here. All right, and so I need to copy the second part of the code. I was like, what's going on? We come over here, copy this, come down over here, paste. All right, and it looks like we have these things. Methods are not being found, but it's okay. We're going to use those in a minute. Let's look at our preview, and it looks like we have our main activity here. Perfect. All right. Once we have done that, we can create a login activity. And so what we're going to do is we're going to just create a new activity, which everyone should be pretty comfortable with. We just go to the app, we say new activity, empty activity. We're going to name this our login activity. We finish that. Get a new Java class and we get a new XML. And so let me once again copy this context so that we can maintain that down there. We come across, gonna copy the code in here, gonna just paste that right here, copy all, cut that, and then it doesn't even look like we need it. Okay, cool. So let's check the preview. And now we have our login XML. Hopefully that was pretty chill. All right. First thing we want to do, or the next thing we want to do, is we want to connect our app to Firebase and just make sure the app is connected to Firebase. And so we can just use the Firebase Assistant to do that. And so I'm just going to copy and paste the main activity into over here, our main activity. Let me just go V. All right, looks like our classes are being pushed in, but our Firebase database and database reference, we need to first update our project so that it can have those libraries. So we go to Firebase and Tools, and we're going to go to the real-time database. We want to save and retrieve data, so let's connect our app to Firebase. And this will take a moment. All right, we say login video. Nice, nice. Signed in as me. We connect to Firebase. All right, and it looks like now we are officially connected to Firebase. Awesome, awesome. All right, the next step we're going to take then is to add the real-time database to our app. And so we have to add in our Gradle dependencies. And so we're going to do that. We're going to accept these changes, and then the Gradle is going to sync itself. Thank God for Android Studio. And okay, cool. Looks like now we have done those first two steps. And so for Firebase database, I'm going to say option. Didn't even have to do it. It did it on its own. All right. And so we're going to see here that we have a problem here with test item, it's looking like, but that's just because we haven't created that class yet. And so we're going to do that in a moment. And so what do I want to double check here? We just want to double check that this is going to work. So what we're going to do for now, we're just going to comment out this the code within this method, or just actually these last two lines. You just comment that out. Command like that. Awesome. And let's say when we send to Firebase, we have string Q for the question, string A for the answer, and we just want to post that to Firebase. And so what we're going to do is, I think we actually have to create the test item class first. All right, so let me just move that code on up. It should be in here somewhere. Voila. So I'm just going to drag this up to where the login activity is so that's easier for you guys. All right, cool. So let's just create this Java class called test item, and that'll make this all easier. All right. We go to the folder where our Java classes are. We go to new Java class. We say test item. Okay. And then we can just copy that and paste that code right in here. All right. So now that we have a test item, I can uncomment this. Bop, bop. All right. And so notice that I have a database reference called user reference. Even though we haven't really created users yet, I just like calling it user reference. And right now we have this reference being called hard-coded user, right? Because it's being hard-coded. It's not like we're not creating a user yet. And so we're just going to use this to make sure that our Firebase is working. And so let's run the code and let's see if it works. And so, I just realized before we do that, we have to make sure that our rules are properly set up in our app. And so I'm going to go to my Firebase. Looks like I should have a video one here. Oh no. ¿Dónde está? Right, Firebase practice, login practice. How do I go to all my projects? Let's go back. See all projects. This is weird. Usually it just kind of pops up, but I guess right now I'm experiencing some kind of difficulty. So let's see. Maybe if I just continue from here and say authentication, set up my authentication. Let's see if it'll take me straight to here. Nope, it's just taking me to the rules. Oh, always coding, always problems when coding. So just give me 1 second. I should have checked to see to make sure the project was made once I created. Here we are. Always. Okay, there we go. Login video. It's there. Now I can go to my database and it should get me started. So it's just getting started. And now it has this thing where it says start in locked mode, start in test mode. So now I can just start in test mode and set my rules so that I can write to my database without having someone log in. So I'm going to enable that. All right, cool. Now that I've enabled that, I have my login video kind of database, and there's nothing in here. All right, so when I run this app, it should allow me to type in a test item and then post it to Firebase. So let's see and hope that this is going to work out. All right, cool. So I'm going to type in a question here. What do I have in the slides? What's the question? I guess it doesn't even really matter. But what is the color of the sun? The sun looks yellow. All right. So what is the color of the sun? And then bring this down. Come over here. The sun looks yellow. All right. Bring this down. And so let's see if we can send this to the Firebase, which is send to Firebase method, the onClick method there. And we come back on over to the database, have our hardcoded user reference, and nice. Looks like we have our test item object here, and then we have the answer and the question strings coded in there. So we are connected to Firebase. Woohoo! Great job. We're awesome. All right. And so what we're going to do next is we got to add a section to the main activity like we talked about before that says, hey, if the user is not signed in, go to the sign in page, right? And then if you are logged in, all right, cool, go back to the main activity and then create a database for that user, right? And so how do we do that? Looks like we're going to have a check if logged in tech code. And so this is the code we're going to be using here. It's a very subtly different where here we have if the user is not there, like so if there is no user, right? If the user is not there, so if there is a user, do this stuff and then if it's not there else, right? Start the activity of going back to the main activity, going to the login activity. Blah, that was a little confusing. So okay, if the user is not null, then you can create a database based on the user. Else, start an activity. Which activity do you start? The login activity. All right, and so we're just gonna copy and paste this code. I think we already have our auth state listener. Wait, did we? No, I don't think we got the instance yet of it. And so, yeah, it looks like I'm in the wrong place. Okay, let me push this back. Boom. All right, I'm in my main activity. Yes. It looks like I have my Firebase database and I have my database reference, but I don't have my member variables yet. So I have to first, again, like before, we create our auth or authorizer. I call it Miss Auth. Miss Auth is going to do all the authorization, and then we're also going to have a auth state listener. So let's do that below here. Boom. So we've declared this off, and it cannot resolve this, interestingly enough, because I need to do the authentication, and that's why I have this right over here saying use the Firebase assistant to update the Gradle. All right, cool. So we come back over here. We're going to go back to Firebase. We're going to go to authenticate, email and password authentication. We're already connected, but now let's add Firebase authentication. And now it's going to update our Gradle so that we have that library. Oh no, my battery's down. Okay. And we're going to say accept changes. All right. I'm going to close the assistant out again. Awesome. And it looks like now we have these libraries. We have the Firebase auth object, which we have Miss Auth going to auth for us. And then we have Firebase auth.authStateListener. And then we create an auth state listener who's going to listen to see if we're actually logged in or not. All right. And so now I can come back over here and I can copy the code from onCreate that goes into onCreate. And so, here we are. And in onCreate, we're just going to say, all right, let's initialize Miss Auth by using just the get instance method. It's the same way when we create a Firebase database, right? Get instance, that factory method. And then we say, okay, auth state listener, let's initialize it to have a new Firebase.auth state listener. We have, again, an anonymous class with this on auth state changed method that says, okay, hey, Firebase user, the user, right? We have a Firebase user object. User is the name of that object. And we say Firebase auth.get current user. And then we run if the user is not actually there, when we try to get the user, right? If there is no user, if it's null, we automatically start the next activity. But if the user is there, we go like this, and we do run this code right in here. And the reason we do that is because originally, when we run the code, originally the method they gave, I found online, said if the user equals null, start a new activity, but it wasn't reading correctly. And so that's why we have this not one here. It just says like, hey, if the user is not there, go in here. But if the user is not there, then go and do this, which I explained before. Hopefully that makes some sense. All right, so now we can check to see if the user is logged in. And so if I run the app now, when I say run and I go okay, it should automatically go to the login activity as opposed to the main activity, because it should check and go, well, okay, the user definitely, this is not true, so we'll come to else and then start the new activity. Let's hope there's no bugs and it just runs accordingly. Of course there are bugs and it does not run accordingly. So let's see what I might have to do next to make sure that this works properly. So, excuse me. All right, so what we're going to do here, gotta check some stuff. May come back down, check if the user is logged in, which we were doing. We have the auth state, blah, blah, blah. All right, I'm like, I might need to change the rules of my app in order to make it work, but that should not necessarily be the issue. And so I'm just gonna double check through my code to make sure everything is good. So if no user, so if the user. All right, let's just check to see where this app is writing to right now. So if I ask a question like, is this a question? Come down. Nope. I'm going to send that to the Firebase. And then let's check the Firebase. Okay, so that's still going in hard-coded user. Weird. Because it should be taking me to my logged in page. But I'm like, Why are you not working as I expect? There are references there. This is all within there. Okay. Looks like we're still being sent to this main activity. All right, well, I'm going to change the rules. I'm going to continue and see what happens, because maybe this will work itself out. And so after you do that, the idea is to then go to the login activity and create the code for the login activity, the Java code. So I'm just going to copy this for now, and continue. Go to the login activity. Okay. Everything is working out. And remember that in the login activity, we also still have this authorizer, Mr. Auth, over here. And the authorizer, we don't have to have the auth state listener, because in this activity, we already know that we are logged out. Okay. And so at this point, I would like to do my login method and my sign up method, but I'm not even at that page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the rules so that we have to log in. And so I'm going to come back to my, my database. Come back to my database, go to my rules, and change the rules so that not anybody can write, but you have to be logged in to write. And so I'm going to publish these rules. And then what I'm going to do is I'm also going to go to here and make sure that we can enable the email password sign in for this. So I'm going to come over here to authentication. I'm going to click on sign in method, and they're all disabled right now. So I'm going to enable email password. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to enable it so that you can sign in with an email and password. And so I'm going to save that. And so now it is enabled. All right. Now we're going to come back over to our main activity and see why this is not working. And so I'm just going to change this code around a little bit. And I'm going to say if the user equals not, well, let's see. Let's just debug right here. And so we will just run the debugger. Let's restart the app. Okay. It's going to take a moment for it to debug. And just give it a second to wait. All right, interesting. Looks like this code isn't even ever being reached, despite the fact that we're in on create. And I'm like, why is that? Why is that? Looks like this code, in theory, when we run the debugger, before the whole code ran, it should have stopped, because it is not, the onCreate method should have paused here, but it's not even being paused here. It's going straight over here. But all these fields are being filled in, so it's like something is not going correctly. And so let's do the debugger up here then, and let's debug from there and see what happens. All right, so it is stopping there, but for some reason it's not getting here. So the auth state listener is null at this point because we've stopped before the code. And so I'm going to jump to the next line. No such instance field miss auth. No such instance field auth state listener. All right, so let's see. Looks like auth state listener is here. It's being initialized there, but it's saying there is no instance of miss auth, but we just said miss auth firebase.get instance, so that should not be a problem. Okay. No such instance field as auth state listener. So it's looking like it's looking for instance variables here, which is weird because in the other code it's not, but we just adapt and make it work. So I'm going to click to the next thing. Okay, into the next one. All right. So miss auth now is filled up. Okay, so it looks like it figured that part out, but the auth state listener is still null. And it jumps to the next piece of code. But the auth state listener, it looks like has stuff in it. Let's see. This. And it just jumps down to the bottom. Doesn't even go through this code. I'm like, what about user reference? Doesn't even tell us anything about what's going on in user reference. Looks like login, but it's using the hard-coded user. So let me check my other project to make sure that I didn't just miss something. So we have our login lesson app. Let's go to a new window. Okay, so it looks like here we have the same code. Let's just do it bigger. Nope, I'm still getting the reference there because it should just be overridden over here. All right, so I can just minimize that. Let's just let the application run. No, it's not even running at all. Okay. All right, and then it automatically comes back and the application just runs. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to mess around with this to make it work a little bit better. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to initialize this up here. So I'm going to say miss auth equals firebase auth.get instance. Nice. And so here I won't even need to do this again. All right, and then for the auth state listener, again, we're just going to double check with my other code to make sure it's the same thing. We have the auth state listener right in line, and so it should be okay. But I might have to just change some of this code in here, which is what I had to do earlier. So let's run the app. Let's restart the app. Well, of course. All right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to change this now so that if it equals null, matter of fact, you know what? I'm not even going to do all that. I'm going to go to the slides and we're going to try the original method because sometimes things I don't understand just work. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess we're just working. I have my Firebase user, right? Let me double. Oh, ooh. Where am I? All right, let's try it this way. So we'll just try it this way. Going to change this to be miss off, and then change this to be user reference. Okay. So let's stop the app and run it this way and see if we change the if else to being if it is null. Okay, it stopped. So this is an error I had before. Okay, and so if I come down to my run error, exactly, it's saying over here that you're trying to run a method and it's null and it's not reading it correctly, which is why I changed it the other way. But this is good because now we know this is being read. So this is what we're going to do now instead. We're going to just alter this method, and I'm going to close the app out here so it's not running. All right, and so we'll just have to do this a little manually. So I'm going to go instead, if the user is not null, and I'm going to create a branch, and here I'm going to say, hey, user, let's get that user, boom. And so maybe I need to, I probably just made a simple mistake, and I'm like thinking about it now, and I'm like, let me just double check in the code over here. No, yeah, the Firebase, if the user doesn't equal null, I'm making a mistake now. I could tell. Okay, cool. And so I'm doing this twice. I don't need to do this twice. That's what's going on. Okay. All right. And so we'll do it that way. And then we'll say else. And then grab this code here. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. And let's see if it works now. Ah. And I'm still getting the same error. I'm like, why is this not working? Well, at least you guys get to get a little bit of a view into the amount of time I spend working on lessons and things like that. Okay, so why is this activity not being launched? It's like, clearly this code is never running, but the else code is also never running. And it's like, okay, we have an auth state listener. And it says the auth state listener field can be converted to a local variable. Okay, so perhaps I just don't have my auth state listener listening in all the places it needs to be. Oh, I think I have to add the auth state listener. Oh my God. Okay, all right. So we come over here. So the auth state listener is there, but it's never working, right? So I'm looking at my other code here. Where are you? Video. And so it's like, hey, man, this is never being used. It's never being accessed. And so when we go to on start, that's what we have to do. And so I'm going to move these. Whoa, 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 whoa. Is on start not even in this code? Of course it's not. All right. Well, if you're watching this video, excuse me, we know what to do. We can say on start, which is our activity lifecycle method. Ugh. There we go. The super on start. And so I'm going to say miss auth dot add auth state listener. Is that what it is? No, it's not what it is. Ooh. Yes, it is. Add auth state listener. And then you add the auth state listener. Auth state listener. Okay, cool. And then for on stop, I think you remove the auth state listener. Let's see if I remember that correctly. Miss auth dot remove auth state listener. Auth state listener. Okay, all right. So now we can stop this code. We can press play. We run it, and this time I'm hoping it will work. All right. Okay. So now we are on the right track. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. And so now we have to create our login method and our sign up method. And so I'm going to go to the login activity where we have our code already kind of set up, and we can just copy and paste the login method and the sign up method. So we have this login method, Command A, Command C, and I'm going to put that outside of onCreate but within the class. So we have a login method here that's updating slowly, and boom, got it. All right, and then we have our sign up method here, which we put over here. Bop, 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 bop. Nice. All right, and so now I'm going to stop my app and I'm going to run it again, and everything should be done at this point. So we're going to say 234 at 234.com, and then I'm going to say 234 as my password. If I try to sign up with just 3, it gives me a toast saying, can't do that. So I think I have to just make the password longer. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I can sign up. Wait, nope, we have an internal error. What does it say? Enable it. Okay, I don't think it knows it's enabled. Okay, so let's enable the sign-in, the email authentication. Okay, so the rules are cool, and then in authentication, sign-in method, it looks like it's enabled. Let's just enable both, I guess. All right, we'll see. All right, I think that should be okay. Let's go back to the database. All right. I'm gonna stop the app. This is my sign up method. Good. And so 234 at 234.com. I'm going to say 234, try to sign up with that, and let's see what the error comes up. An internal error has occurred, not configured. Google project before disable. Enable it by visiting console. All right, so it says to enable, I think we just have to wait a little bit to see, so the rules can be updated. So Firebase is just taking a moment to update itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close this out. All right, cool. I'm going to go to my console. After I updated all my rules, okay, cool. I'm going to go to my login video. Going to go to authentication to make sure. Blah, blah. Wrong thing. Okay, it is enabled. Cool. Database is still set up as it was, I believe. It's loading, so maybe this is Firebase right now, getting its life together. Ooh, did not want to see this. Let's see. Get started. Ooh, no. Login video. What happened? I don't want to get started. I already have a whole project. But I remember seeing this error somewhere else. And so, okay. It worked out. Perhaps that was Firebase getting its stuff together. All right. And then so I'm going to stop the project and restart the project. All right, so let's say 234 at 234.com. And then I go to 234. If I try to sign up with just a short password, I'm looking, it should be a different method that says that a password has to be longer, but that's not what's coming up. Usually a password has to be at least six characters, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Trying to sign up, and it's not working. So I guess we can sit here and wait for a couple of minutes to see if it works a little bit later. I think that the sign up, it's just the rules. It keeps saying the rules are not taken care of, and so wait a few minutes and enable again. Identity Toolkit, Google APIs overview. If you enabled this app recently, wait. All right, so let's see if I can get that message to pop up somewhere else. And so this is going to be in the sign up activity. I'm going to say log v. There's a way to make this message pop up elsewhere. And it is. No, that's if it's good. If task is not successful, toString. I wish I knew how to log things better. Let me see if I can remember. Capital L. Log.v. Nice. And then so we have two strings. I'm going to say error as the tag, and then I'm going to say this whole string here so I can look at that when it happens. Okay, so let's disconnect the app. Let's run the app again. Let's go. Okay. Need a semicolon. All right, so 234 at 234.com. 234, let's try to sign up. Let's see, it says wait for assistance to retry. All right, and so in my run, I should have a messages. Nope. Logcat. Haha. This is where I need to be. The error. Here we go. Nah, duh. I made this an actual string instead of thing. So here it says error, task, get exception. Oh, I need to be the other thing. Okay, so stop and run it. Two, three, four. Sign up. Okay, didn't work. Let's look for error. Where? Here we are. So now I can take this error and take a closer look at it. Enable it by visiting blah 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 blah. If you all right, so we're gonna go to that website and enable it. Okay, let's go here so I can paste this in here. Identity Toolkit API. Google Identity Toolkit was to open standards to verify the user's identity. Okay, and so we will enable. So strange. Didn't have to do this for my last project, but for this one, I have to use an identity toolkit that enables. Okay, and so now this has been enabled. New territory for me. All right. Google Identity Toolkit. Let's just take a moment. And let's just Google this. We just enabled it, so we'll wait a couple minutes, I guess, for that to work. Configure. What? It's just so interesting to me because you do a project that works fine the first time. I start to make a video, my computer's just like, nah, man, this is going to be all different kinds of issues. Okay, so looks like that's how you enable it. All right, okay. Well, it's been enabled now, and so let's just see if this works out for me now. It says I have to wait a couple minutes, so uh, okay. Okay. Com 2, 3, 4. Let's sign up. See, enable this API recently. Wait for minutes. The action propagate. Okay, so now we wait for a little bit. This video is turning out to be much, much longer than I expected, but I guess that's just classic coding, right? Something that you think should take 20 minutes ends up taking an hour. Fun times. So let's see if there's anything else I can do. You know what I'll do? I'll just check up on my other app just to make sure there's nothing different in here. I know we have this logout method, which I have in the slides as well. So why not? Let's just add this logout method to, sorry, wrong thing, to the other one over here. So underneath all of this, in the main activity, we want to add a logout method. And it says logout is never used. Interesting. Did I not add that here? That's nope, doesn't on click, so we go on click, logout. All right, cool. And so now we shouldn't have that problem. It should be used. Okay, cool. Very, very, very cool. And so we're just gonna put these two projects side by side, get a feel for what the heck is going on. All right, we're gonna just come to the main activity. Main activity. Everything is looking pretty good. All right, everything is looking very similar. Okay. Yeah. I'll start. So the main activity is fine. The question is the login activity good? So let's just, yep. We have that. We have that. We have our login method. Perhaps I'm missing something in my login method. No, looks like it's just a space. That's the difference. This goes down way longer though. I have create, add on complete listener. No, it just looks like the code here is a little bit different. If I just say Command Option L, it'll make it more like it. Okay. Yeah, nothing is looking different. Everything looking pretty much the same. Okay. Hopefully that's been a couple of minutes. Let's try to run this now. Let's check. 4.com 234. All right, well, okay. Oh, okay. So here, notice it's saying I have a weak password. And so if I go to my Logcat over here, I'll minimize this now. We see here it says Firebase weak password exception. So the password is valid. Password should be at least 6 characters. So another error that's being handled by this exception. And so now I can come here and say, so I'll just say 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I will sign up. And I've successfully signed up. Woohoo! Okay, and I'm going to say, how long does it take to make a video? Question mark. And at the bottom, I'm going to say much longer than anticipated. All right, period. We come down over here. I'm going to send that to the Firebase. And boom. I have a new user, right? So we have the hard-coded user. We have a new user here. And now we have that question being posted here. All right, so hopefully you learned something in this video. I will say that I was not familiar with that Google API. I've done login activities on 2 separate projects, and that has never popped up. But of course, when making a video, you run into errors, but or I ran into errors. So if you do run into that error, just realize that you can do a log, right, .v, so you can get the toast message to get you the actual message, and you can go to that website. So here's this line of code right here, and then you just go to the logcat and you look for the error tag that you gave it, and then the string, so that you can go to the website and just click enable. But I don't think most of you are going to have to do that. I think if for most of you it should be fine, but if you do run into the error, please let me know in class or send me an email. And so now you guys know how to sign up. Let's just go look through. Again, we have our test item class, pretty simple, straightforward. Our main activity, where you have your database, right, in your reference, the user reference. Then you have your authorizer, or your auth, right, Miss Auth, and you have your auth state listener. Here we see that we initialize the auth state listener, right, so that it can check to see if the user's logged in. But then don't forget that you have to add the auth state listener to the authorizer. So who's listening? The authorizer. So we add the auth state listener to the authorizer, and we just put it here in that method. And then on stop, we remove the auth state listener because we no longer need it, because we are moving to a different activity. And then send to Firebase, right, it's just what we've seen before, where we create the test item and then we push that test item, right? We say user reference dot push because we want it to be a child, right? We want we want to have this have its own thing, right? Its own reference down here, and then have the test item object. So push dot set value, and then in the login activity, we have the authorizer, right? And then we have the login method, which should be fine. It didn't give us trouble, right? And then we have the sign up method, where if the task is not successful, you can add in a little log so that you can see what's going wrong and go to the website and update it if you need to. All right, hopefully this has been an informative video for you. Sorry it's longer than I expected, and have a happy time coding. Hopefully you learned never to panic when coding, right? Just take your time, relax, expect that there are going to be mistakes because there are literally always things to debug. And as long as you stay calm, the computer will be on your side. It'll just take a little bit more of your life and time. All right, have a good night, you guys. Bye.